So the things you will need is an Arduino board, Arduino Uno board, a joystick, and there's this thing that just adds on to the joystick. Then you will need a breadboard, a motor. This is just an add-on to the wheel, and L293D IC, and some jumper wires right here. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is get your L293D right here, and you're going to need to find where the circle or half circle is on this IC. I'm not sure we can see it, but you can kind of see it right there. That half circles, you're going to need to know where it is, because each of these pins have numbers and the pins do certain things. So you're going to need to know how to count it, as I'm going to show you. So you're going to put it in between this gap right here on the board, on the breadboard, and on one side, the reason it's separating is because there's two sides of the breadboard, and we're putting it in between it because one side of the pins are going to go to one side of the breadboard, and the other side of the pins will go to the other side of the breadboard. So as we're going to put that, there you go. To do that, you're going to need to get your jumper wires, and we're going to put the enable pin, which is this very first one, and enable pin is the first pin. And like I said, there's numbers on these, so the way you're going to count this, if the half circle is facing on the top, you're going to count from the very top and all the way to the very bottom of the left side. So it would be, let's see, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the way you count this one, it's going to be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's how you're going to count it. So enable pin is the first pin, so it's going to be number 1. And as long as you connect it into that row, see if you can see that better. As long as you connect it into that row that the pin is connected into, it should still be connected. And we're not going to connect it right now to the Arduino board. We're going to connect it later, but for now we're just going to connect all our jumper wires. So that's going to be pin 1, enable pin. We're going to put the input 1, which is the second pin. And it's the second pin. It's going to be the second pin. And we're going to put ground, which actually, let's leave that for now. We're going to put input 1, which is pin 7, and since the bottom one is 8, that means you just count one up from there, so that would be 7. And there's also numbers on my board, as you might be able to see, and I can just use that. So, and then we're gonna do pins. We're gonna do the motor. Now the motor has should be connected to 2 wires. And these 2 wires are going to go to output 1 and output 2. Output 1 is pin 3. So you might be able to see it like right here. That's pin 3 for me. And the output 2 is pin 6. And that should be right here. Okay, once you got that connected, we're going to connect the ground. And it's not going to get ground until we put ground from the Arduino, but we're just going to connect it. So that's going to be right here. 4 and 5 is ground, so we're going to connect it to the minus side. And then, there you go. I'm not sure, I think this is better, but now we're going to connect the power. And the power goes, the power for the motor is the last pin, so that would be pin 8. And you're going to connect that to plus. Shouldn't really be in tying these up, which get really bad. Just do this real quick. Okay, there you go. Okay, once you got all that, now we're going to connect these wires to the Arduino, which is right here. And as you can see, there's like numbers. On this side, there's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so now we're going to connect the pins. So the pins that we're going to have to connect to for input 1 is going to be pin 9. Input 1 is going to be pin 9, and input 1 from the IC is pin 2. Let's see if I can fit this both. Yeah, so right there, and that's going to be pin 9. So we're connecting it to specific numbers because some of you might have been able to see that some of these numbers have like a little squiggly line on the Arduino board. And those squiggly lines allow certain commands to be written in the program that we're going to later code. So just connect that one to 9, and as long as it's in one of those squiggly lines of those, that should be okay. You just got to know the number it's connected to because we need to code that, and it needs to receive that information from that number. And so now we're going to connect input 2, and that's going to be connected to 10. And let's see, oops, there you go. And then we're going to connect the enable pin, that's going to be to pin 11. There you go. So if you were connecting 2 motors, there's enough of those like squiggly line numbers for, in other words, they're called PWM. Digital PW, no, it's just PWM, and there's enough numbers for 2 motors, so there's 6 of them, 6 numbers with squiggly lines, and just plug them into that. So once you're done with that, we're going to connect the ground, and as you can see, there's like a ground here, and I'm going to use that one because it's the closest to the board. There's another on the other side, it shows ground, but I'm not going to use that, it's too far. So that'd be 11, 10, or 11, yeah, that's 11, 12, 13, ground. Ground, we're going to connect that to the minus in the very top. So that means that everything from the very top all the way down will be getting ground on the board. So as you can see, they're not like directly connected, but everything from the top to the bottom will be grounded and we'll have ground from the Arduino. Now we're going to connect the plus, and this one I'm going to use a longer wire because the 5 volts that I'm going to use for my motor, so you got to know how much volts you're going to use for the motor. You can't burn it or give it too much or else it won't work. It'll start smelling and burning up and stuff. So you got to know how much voltage. So I need, mine handles 9, but I'm going to put 5 for now. I have other power sources to make it 9, and the only thing you got to do to make it 9 is you got to know which one's plus and minus. If you're going to use like the connected, if you're going to use power from the outlets, you're going to need to know the plus and minus, and make sure you don't mess that up, or the plus and minus, and you got to make sure that everything is separated. So as you can see, there's 2 sides of this. I used one side for the motors just for 9 volts because later on we're going to plug in the joystick that needs 5 volts. That can't be put 9 volts or else it won't work. So we're going to need to put 5 volts for that, and you need to separate it. So that's why I'm going to put the 5 volts on this side, and then, well, not now, but I used to put 9 volts on this side for the motors. So once you know that, and if you have 2 motors, like I said, everything from the top of the ground to all the way to the bottom of this board will be getting ground, and everything from the top of the 5 volts will be getting all the way down to 5 volts. So that's how you connect multiple ones instead of trying to find 5 volts on here on this Arduino board. Okay, so now that's pretty much it for the motor connections, and we'll be moving on to the joystick. And here's the joystick. Maybe you can see it right there. Let me remove the thing that controls it. Oops. Make sure to break it. So it's gonna go right there, and you can see there's like labels, and we're gonna be plugging in those labels like they're supposed to be plugged in. So this camera is not that good. Better than nothing though. So let's see. Come on. The ground, you can kind of like see it, but it's a bit blurry. Let's see. Well, the very first pin is ground. There you go. There you go. Ground, 5 volts, VRX, VRY, and SW, which means switch. And we're going to be plugging them into the appropriate spot on the Arduino. So let's just put this in the very bottom so it's easy for us to know which pin is which, because you won't be able to see the labels of them after you put it. And yeah, so I plugged that into the very bottom. And the last pin, we're just going to plug in all the jumper wires. So just make sure they're in the same row. And since we put it in we started it in the very last of these, then we can just count 5 up from there. That's 3. This is going to be 4. And 5 right here. Now we got 5. There you go. 5. Now we have 5 jumper wires. Now we're going to connect this to the Arduino board. So the very first one was switch, and that one is going to go to one of these. It doesn't need to be squiggly, or the ones PMW, the ones that have like squiggly line on the number, but actually it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to put it on the 2. So I'm going to put on number 2. And remember, again, it doesn't matter the number, but as long as you know where it goes. And you're going to need to know it for the programming, so make sure. And if you're just going to copy and paste my programming, which I'm going to put in the description, you should put it the way I'm putting it, so it'll work. So we're going to put that into the second pin, 0, 1, 2, right here. That's the second number. Let's see if we can. This is like really hard to situate. Make sure it doesn't fall over. There you go. That should be okay. Okay, now we're gonna put the next one is let's see. I remember. That should be VRY. Let me see. Yeah, it's VRY. The second one, this one right here, that's gonna go to A1. Sorry, A1, and that's on this side over here. Let's see, but yeah, so it's on this side right here. A0, A1, and or A2, A3. Wait, it doesn't count. Yeah, it's A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and you can see there's like ground, power, ground, voltage, 5 volts, 3 point. So we're gonna put it on the A1, and that's VRY on this joystick, which has labels. And if yours doesn't, you're gonna have to somehow figure it out. I'm sorry. But yeah. So we're gonna put that in A1 right here. There you go. And now we're gonna put what's the next one? Next one is VRX. Yes, VRX. Again, it doesn't matter. So which on this it doesn't matter. Again, if you know where it goes, good. You're gonna need to program it. And this is gonna go to A0. Once that goes to A0. Wait, did I do this right? Or am I doing this wrong? Let's switch. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, now we're gonna do the 5 volts and the 5 volts and the what is it? The 5 volts and the ground. And you can just, like I said, everything down so the ground is the 5 volts is the next one, which is a fourth pin. Let's see right here. There you go. This is gonna be 5 volts. So let me make sure. See, 5 volts. Yeah, it's 5 volts. That's gonna be connected to the row that is getting 5 volts. And it's gonna be this one. Come on. Wow. Like. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to do ground. Wait, did I just mess that up? And no, yes, I did. That should be ground. I just messed it up since they're both orange. You should color code this so it makes it a little bit easier, but for the sake of time, I'm trying to do it as fast as I can. So this one's ground. And this one's, the last pin is 5 volts, ground. Last pin is ground, and sorry. Okay, so the fourth pin, counting up, that is 5 volts. Fifth pin is ground. Okay, and we got pretty much the circuit ready. That should be pretty much it. And you're gonna need, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but it was on the slideshow thing, but you're going to need a connection for the Arduino board. And let me just show you real quick how it looks like. So mine is color blue. Right here. Let's see if I can. Right here, it's these are the two connections. One for the computer and one for the Arduino board. Right here. So that's what you're going to need. One connecting to the Arduino, and the other one is going to be connected to the computer. So it downloads the program, and then later on you won't need it. It's not always going to need to be connected to a computer. After you downloaded the program, you can get, as you can see, there's like a plugin for batteries and outlets that are to go into outlets, and you can plug it into the outlet, and it'll do the same exact thing. So you won't always, it doesn't need to be connected to the computer in order for it to work. It's in the first, when you're downloading the program into the Arduino, you need to have the connection for the computer. So that's pretty much it. We're going to go to the programming. So yeah. Okay, so now moving on to the coding. So the coding, as you can see, this is for one motor. I will be showing you for 2 motors later if you want to skip ahead, but this is for one motor. So as you can see in the beginning, this is the very top. In the beginning, you will be, if you open up Arduino and you start a new one, it'll just look like void setup, and there's nothing here, just nothing there, and then just that, and then void loop, and then nothing, and then another one of these things. I forget what they're called. Okay. So now the very first thing we got to do is label our variables. So variables are things that they're things that need to be equal to something. So as you can see right here, this xPin is just a name, so don't worry about the name. You can put any name as long as you know for yourself what it does. You can put a name, and then it has to equal something. So this is the thing on the Arduino board it's equaling to. So in the board, in the joystick, xPin, if you look at your circuit, is plugged into A0. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to do xPin, or whatever the name is going to equal to A0. And you're going to know that's the X pin. And now we'll do that the same thing with yPin. And then buttonState, which is switch. If you remember, that's connected to 2 SW from the joystick. And these right here, these are not equal to something, because later on I will make them equal to something else. Because a void loop, as you saw down here, A void loop, it just goes in a loop. It says right here, put your main code here to run repeatedly. It will go in a loop. The reason I'm gonna define it here is because every time it goes in a loop, it will redefine it, and it will continuously make sure it's the right thing. So this is xPosition, yPosition, buttonState, and int means like this is a command that says that it's equal to 1, like a whole number, and not like decimals like 2.5 or 2.6. And down here you can see it's a float, and those equal decimal numbers. And the reason I'm gonna put float is because I'm gonna make it as accurate as possible, because in the joystick there's x and y axis, and there's like 2.5 like an x-axis, like a graph, there is 2.5, there's 2.6 and stuff like that. So that's why I'm putting it on float, so it's the most accurate. And then we're gonna do and then this is for the motor. Remember, I did enable pin, I showed you where that equals to and where that goes. That goes to 9. And in input pin, or in one pin, like I labeled it, it's the input pin that we put in our circuit. That was 11 and 10. And then, so that's pretty much all our variables. And then we're going to do this. This is the void setup. This setup is pin. So the void setup is something that is only done once, and it's defining what each thing is, like what each thing is going to do. For example, xPin is input. Input, that means it's going to get info from the circuit into the board or the Arduino, and it's going to process it, and you're going to make it to what you want it to equal to. So now that's inputs, and then outputs, that is when you're sending out information into the circuit or the breadboard that you've made. You're going to send it out, and that's going to give info, so what you want to work will work. So that's the reason for this. And then now moving on to the void loop. This void loop, this is just, again, it repeats whatever's inside this loop, and this is the end of the sentence, and this is like the beginning of the sentence. So that anything inside it will continue to repeat. And the same thing with this is end, and that's the beginning. And for this, these are like, again, I'm just going to use sentences because it's like the easiest thing to explain. This is like the period and the end of the sentence. Same with these, but there is no starting thing except for like a capitalized word. But yeah, so this is like this symbol, or I mean, what is it called? Sorry, keyboard. The button on the keyboard, that is pretty much the period and then the sentence. That's going to end the command that you're doing. And so these brackets too. For these void, this is a void, and then that's a setup. These are commands, and then they have parentheses, and they have this, which begins the sentence. And this ends the second. So these brackets you should definitely include, or else it won't work. It'll tell you if you missed something. It usually tells you like these simple mistakes. If you missed one of these or something, it tells you. So after you like checked it, like right here it says verify, and I'll verify it real quickly, and it shows everything's correct. So it won't correct commands because it's gonna expect you to be doing something with the commands. You're just verifying that there's no simple errors. So yeah, it sometimes corrects commands. So yeah, so now moving on to this void set motor. Set motor, this is just again like a name, a variable, and that can be named as long as like it can be named set motor 1. And this will run and repeat. It's the same thing. It's not actually. It's not. It's like if you know programming. Well, it's not the easiest way to explain it, but So this is its own like little area, and right here it says set motor, and that's the same thing here. So that means this information that it's getting here, it's going to go to here, that's going to go into here. So so that means right here this is reverse. The way we're going to get reverse is through up here. Reverse is going to equal the button state, and a button state only has a 0 and a 1. So when it equals 0, that means it's not in reverse, it's normal. And if you press it, it will equal 1. That means it will turn on. It's like a switch, pretty much, I think. And then that will equal, I'm doing this command digital read, it will read what it is, what its current number is, a 0 or 1 or whatever it is. And as I said, these need to have special, remember we had the A0, A1, those are special. We couldn't put them in numbers like 1 or 2 because they needed this command to work. The analog read, it reads the thing is being plugged in, the xPin in this case, and it's reading it, and it's gonna equal xPosition, which I labeled up here. I just named it, but I haven't defined it, and down here I defined it in the loop. So as you can see, like every time it loops, it will change the number, because if you're moving the joystick, it will not just equal the same number. And the numbers are 0 through 1 or 1023, and same for x and y axis. So 0, 1, 1023, 0 to 1023. So now the button state, that will equal button pin. Hold on. Oh, sorry. The button state makes it equal. So we're reading the button pin. We don't exactly need this. If you know decoding, we don't really need this, but yeah, it's the same thing. So button pin will equal button state, which is still 0 or 1, and that will equal reverse. We could have just put the button pin up here, and we didn't need this. That would have been it. But it's the same thing. Don't worry about it. So this is speed of motor x. So we're doing some math right here. So xPosition. Remember, this xPosition will always change, and it will be a number from 0 to 1023, and it will change. And we are going to multiply it by 255 times 1023, or divided by 1023. And the reason I put these dots is because that means like it can be 255.01. So it doesn't, if you were just to put without a point, that would mean that it's going to round to a whole number. So that's why I put a point. So actually, I might as well not put. No, it doesn't matter. So 255 is it's the voltage. So right now that's max voltage. That's 5 volts. The computer doesn't read 1 or 5 volts. It reads 1 through 255 volts, or 0 to 255 volts. That's how it reads voltage for 5 volts. So that means 255 is 5 volts, and 0 would be 0 volt. That's how it works. And then 1023, like I said, that's for the x and y axis. It's being multiplied, and if you do this like on a piece of paper, it will make sense, because when you multiply 255 1023, or however much is x position is, then it will be divided by 1023, and then it will equal the speed of motor of x. That means that will be a number between 0 to 255 that will determine the voltage it's getting. So that's how that works. And then later on, this is a speed of motor. I needed to separate these two because they're different things. And you know, in the joystick, you can move up the joystick and side to side. They're different, so they're x and y axis, so I had to separate them. And then now here, this is the speed of motor in general. You have to add these two and divide by 2, because or you could just do 126.5 in these right here, but I just decided to add them here. I added them and then divided by 2, so it would equal a number between 0 to 255. And then now I put the speed of motor, so that's a number from 0 to through 255, and reverse, which is a number between 0 or 1. And now it goes into this void, which then this void reads this, and it renames these things, speed of motor and reverse, and it renames it because it doesn't appear. All of this goes to the void setup and the void loop, but it's not going to go into this, so I gotta rename it, but it still carries the info that it has. It's a bit weird, but it still carries the info, and then it's going to carry the info into here. And the speed of the motor is enable pin, and this is going to send the speed of the motor to the pin, or to the L293D, which then that sends to the motor, and then that is determined by the motor, and then it shows us the speed. In one pin, this is, remember that was an output? No, hold on, let me check. In one pin was an output, so it's going to send that information. So it's going to determine whether that's going to be reverse or that's not. So this is good. This means like it's not equal to. So that means it. Hold on. Yeah, that means it's not equal to. So remember, the reverse is either a 0 or a 1. If it were 0, it would equal 0, and it would just stay normal. You wouldn't have to press the button, and it stays that the way it's facing, and then, or the way it's turning. And if you pressed it, that would cancel. That would be canceled out, but this would still be 1, and that means that would make it go. That would make it turn the opposite way it was actually going. Because if this was just 0, it would still equal 0, even if it didn't equal 0. And this would still equal 0 if it's equal 0. However, if this equaled 1 and this didn't equal 1, because it's saying this is not equal to 1, then this would overrule. It would be 1, and that would change the turning. So now, moving on to the, whoops, frick. Hold on. Okay, so moving on to this. Okay, now for the second, for controlling two motors, I pretty much just duplicated the names up here, and the coding almost identical. It's just the names changed because you can't make the name equal two things, or else it won't work. So that's actually just it. I just duplicated and changed the names. It's the same formula, same thing, same formula. It goes to the different void set motors. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, and these coding should be in the description below. I'm just pretty much going to copy and paste it. You can copy and paste it into the Arduino, and I'll show you it works here in a second. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the coding. So let's move on to showing you if it works. Okay, now to show you that if it works. So here I got my Arduino connected and the program's already uploaded. So the way you upload the program, first you gotta know the connection. what type of connection connects to your Arduino board. Sometimes they have different connections and it's weird, but that has to connect to the computer, to the USB port. And then once you've done that, you go to the program, and you can see right here there's like little boxes up top, and you probably see my mouse. It says upload. You click upload, and it should come down here. There should be like a little green bar, and it should fill up, and when it's done it should go done uploading, and then there shouldn't be any errors. If there's any errors, try checking, go up here, the tools, and go to the board and check and make sure you have the right board, the one you have. Mine is just a normal Arduino. If you have a normal Arduino, it'll probably just automatically set it to that. And check the port. If it's in the wrong port, it won't send it and it'll give you an error. So I don't have 6 ports. Sometimes Arduino glitches and does some weird stuff, but that's fine. And then if you don't know if you did your coding correctly, just click the verify, and it should verify, and there should be a green bar again. And once it's done loading, it should give you done uploading, and it shouldn't give you any errors. If it does, it usually highlights where it is. Sometimes you have like a semicolon or whatever those are called. You forgot to put one at the end, and it'll highlight it'll highlight the one before it. But yeah, so just check your coding, and you should be good. Once you're done, here you can see that mine works. You can probably hear it, but I'll show you with this hold on, with this wheel that's moving. So you can see that the wheel is moving. This is hard to show you that when it speeds up, but here I'll try showing you how, because okay, so you can see this. I'm gonna move the joystick, and you might be able to hear it that speeds up. Do that, you can see that it slows down. Right here, it speeds up, and let's see if I can show you the joystick of me moving too. Hold on. Nope, it's gonna be hard. Okay, so here's the joystick, and I'm moving it upwards. You can hear it speeding up. Move it to the middle, move it down, it pretty much turns off. Put it back to the middle, up. You can go up, sideways, go back, left, down, and then the very corner it says. So and it slows down and stops. So this also reverses. Remember, I was telling you can reverse as well. So this is really bad lighting, I'm sorry, but I'm hoping you can see this. So press this button, and it should stop, and yeah, it should stop. And then once you press it and you move it, you have to keep it pressed, or else it won't work. So you gotta move it up, and it'll go reverse. I can't really show you that it goes reverse. Hard. I'm sorry, I can't show you that. It's hard to show you that. So you can kind of see it moving clockwise. Hold on. So that. Okay. See, I can't really show you that. It's so hard. I think that stopped it. I'm gonna download the wrong program. I'm sorry. I'm very unprepared. I think this is the right program. I guess it's just not. It's kind of working. Maybe it's because I got something loose. But if I forget anything about the coding, I'll probably put it in the description. So look at the description. I'll probably put the coding in the description. Like, I'll probably just copy and paste my coding and put it under there, and that should be pretty much it. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you guys liked it, I guess like it. And if you guys want to see more, subscribe and put in comments what you guys want to see. I can put, if you guys want me to, I can put for 2 motors to show you that it works with 2 motors. But L293D only it can only work with 2 motors. If you want like 4, you're gonna have to have 2 of them, and I don't have 2 L293Ds, so I can probably only show you 2. But yeah, and I can also show you Bluetooth if I start figuring out how to work with that. But yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.